And there's this obviously this discussion in the industry around what is the difference between SEO and GEO, and there's lots of things around there. So I wanted to pick up on that conversation really, and talk to you about like Shane, what do you think is the main differences? Are there any differences? I mean, yeah, great to get some information around that.
Yeah. I mean, they are fundamentally two different channels, SEO and GEO, and I think they should be treated separately. SEO is obviously kind of keyword focused, content focused, technical focused, and it's about appearing in the search engines. GEO is about kind of building a brand and an authority that you want, or you want to train AI assistants to cite and reference essentially. So even though there's a lot of overlap, and there is a lot of overlap, I do think they need to be treated separately. In terms of your point, Dan, in terms of GEO kind of eating into SEO traffic and other channels, I agree. I think certainly from a clicks perspective, that is happening, but I think it's a mistake to think that that's lost. The discovery phase is still happening. It's just, for many people, it's just happening somewhere else. And if your brand is in that other location, i.e. ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc., then you're still going to get that brand awareness. People are still going to perhaps come through to your website, depending on the query and whether there is a link. But ultimately, that discovery phase is still happening. So just because you've lost that traffic doesn't mean you've lost that kind of brand awareness. I think that's a really important point for people to keep front of mind.
I think yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, one I'd like to come back to in a moment, just to like, essentially, you're saying that things are happening on third-party sites. Google,
Yeah.
for example, has always wanted people just to do things on their own site. They don't really want to send traffic to anyone else's site. So, and ChatGPT and stuff is doing a similar thing. So let's park that for a second, and we'll just come back to it. I think for Matt, coming to you in terms of, there's always been this search engine rankings and obviously the traffic from there. And now we're talking about GEO, and it's just like visibility and brand awareness and stuff. I can see where people are being confused of what the difference is. And also Shane indicated that there is quite a bit of overlap. So it may also provide some confusion from users that, well, it's just SEO or it's just GEO. It's like, yeah, can you understand what people are saying?
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I always consider it. Obviously, SEO is associated with Google because of their market share, essentially, but it's search engine optimization. And in my opinion, there's kind of the LLMs are still a search engine in the same way that YouTube is a search engine, fundamentally. So I think it falls within that realm. Obviously, it's the specialism within there. And what you're doing, there is, Shane's right, there's overlap, but there's also very specific things that you need to do for GEO specifically, which you probably wouldn't do for SEO necessarily. And I'm sure we'll come on to those later, but it is kind of, to pick up on a point, essentially the user journey hasn't changed in so far as the steps are all still there. The behavioral change is where people are executing those particular steps, and realistically it's whether you want to consider the important thing is traffic or the important thing is being in the discussion effectively. So if all you care about is the volume of traffic to your website, then that's kind of a more of an SEO thing, and you're going to find that that's incredibly difficult to maintain. Realistically, if you want to get your information and kind of your opinion and your views and your products or services in front of somebody, you still need to do what you would do in any kind of marketing approach, which is still appear in the stages within the funnel that you want to appear in. So LLMs tend to be a bit more towards the top of the funnel because people still need to come to a website to buy stuff or to get a service or that kind of thing. So that you just need to accept that that's where your audience is for that particular part, in the same way that your audience might be on email at a different stage or on social or that kind of thing. So it's definitely going to take more traffic than social media has from a marketing point of view. And it's probably not going to generate the traffic to your website that those additional channels. So usually when you add a channel, you get more traffic. Whereas this, you're adding a channel, you're getting less from Google, but you're not going to lose 100 from Google and suddenly gain 100 from ChatGPT. You might lose 100 sessions from Google and gain 5 from ChatGPT, because people are experiencing things differently.
So it goes, that sort of goes back to the point where Shane was saying the discovery is still happening, but it's just happening somewhere else, and you're not necessarily seeing that traffic switch dynamic, like one for one. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And fundamentally, what you're doing is obviously search engines is keyword driven, whereas LLMs or GEO is more kind of entity driven and entity building and that kind of thing. So it's similar in so far as those two things aren't completely unrelated, but it is a kind of a different approach from one to the other, and people just need to get confident and comfortable with, because previously obviously you could look at a keyword and go, that's the search volume, here's why I rank, kind of thing. It's not the same within kind of GEO. Essentially you have to look at maybe share of voice or that kind of thing, which is it's going to be a learning curve for people, and trying to get that in that messaging when you've almost been drilling kind of the C-suite level around kind of visibility, traffic, that sort of thing. You now need to, you almost about facing on that and going, traffic isn't as important as it once was. Actually, what's important is kind of share of voice and being in the right places at the right time.